G'day, Dave here, and we're looking at Titus, and we've been exploring the question of what qualifies a person to be a leader in God's church. Paul the Apostle has left Titus on the island of Crete to appoint elders for the church, and we've seen already that an elder is to be one who's blameless. Now, that doesn't mean that he's sinless. It means, though, that he's not a hypocrite. He's not saying one thing and doing another. He's not open to accusation. He has a good reputation for the way that he lives. His character of life stands up. And in chapter 1 and verse 7, there are a number of areas to address. They were important back then, and they sound very contemporary when we hear them today. Let me read to you this verse. Verse 7. As an overseer of God's household, he must be blameless, not arrogant, not hot-tempered, not an excessive drinker, not a bully, and not greedy for money. See, if he's to be like any of these things, then he will be a highly unsuitable elder. No, God's people are to be changed, and so he's to appoint elders who've demonstrated that their lives are being changed, because they're going to teach others, not only with their words, but with the modelling of their lifestyle. So let's pick up on the second of these, and that is he's not to be one who loses his temper. He's not to be hot-tempered. It's literally here not to be peppery-tempered. And I guess if you've ever taken on board too much pepper or too much chili, you know it can create a bit of pain. There's a real kick involved. And I don't think it's an accident that the idea of a hot temper is like a chili-fueled temper. Here is a person who has a short fuse. They're easily annoyed. They're quick to get angry. And you might have heard the phrase in recent times of somebody who doesn't suffer fools gladly. I think this is the sort of idea here, a no-nonsense person. They're pretty tough. They get straight to the point. They're hard line. They're pretty focused. And that can seem fairly good until it treats people badly. And until that temper bubbles over and people suffer the consequences of it. See, I'm very grateful that God does suffer fools gladly. That is, God welcomes fools like me and like you too, if you want to come. God welcomes us into relationship with himself. He doesn't expect us to be perfect. And he shows us grace. And leaders are to show grace. It doesn't mean that God is happy about our lack of godliness. He's not happy about the poor way that we can treat people. It's no excuse for being brutal or unkind to other people. But God is the God who is slow to anger. He's patient, not wanting people to perish, but giving them time to turn back to him. As he introduces himself back to Moses in the book of Exodus, he describes his character as one who's slow to anger. I've been looking in another context recently at the book of James, and James has a lot to say about our attitude, and he says we are to be quick to listen, but slow to speak and slow to become angry, because anger can do so much damage. We're to be slow to get angry. Now, Titus here is given the responsibility of looking for people who've demonstrated not hot-temperedness, but I take it the inverse of that is patience. They endure, they put up with, they tolerate, they accept, they show grace towards other people. They're measured, they're careful, they're patient in the way that they treat others. This is what to look for when you're looking for those who would provide leadership. Now, keep in mind that they're to provide leadership in God's household. So a good question to ask is, how do they conduct themselves in their own household? Are they patient, or are they quick-tempered? Are they quick to fly off the handle if somebody does something that annoys them? How do they treat their children? What's their marriage like? You see, a good place to check out the way that people treat others under pressure is under their own roof. And I've not been spying on anybody. I don't need to, because I know, to my great shame and sadness, that the people I've been most hot-tempered with, the people I've been least controlled with my anger towards, have been my wife and my children. And there's been many a time when I've looked at these verses and wondered, Do I qualify? Do I need to step down? I know there are big changes that I need to make. Friends, God's in the business of bringing about change in our lives. And as we reflect more and more of his patient grace towards us in Jesus Christ, so he works within our hearts and our minds to move us to be more patient and gracious towards each other. So we become less short-tempered. So we become able to put up with things that are annoying, that are niggly, that are an inconvenience. You see, deep down, the overseer is going to need to be considerate of people from a whole range of different backgrounds, a whole range of different circumstances. People who are very difficult to be patient with, to be honest. People who have all kinds of demands. And the overseer is not going to be one who can always have things go their way. It's not going to simply be a matter of convenience. So if you're looking to be an overseer, if you're looking to be an elder in the church, or if you've got the responsibility of appointing leaders in your church, maybe you're even looking for a new pastor, don't just look at what is there on the CV. Don't just ask the references about what they're like as a preacher, or what they're like as a pastoral worker, or what they're like as an administrator. Maybe dig in and ask some questions about their temper. Are they calm under pressure? How do they treat those around them? Do they fly off the handle? Are they hot-tempered? Or are they someone who shows grace and mercy and forgiveness? Are they seeking to be changed by God? Or has their arrogance fueled their anger? They're good questions to be asking of ourselves and of those who we would look to support and approve as leaders in God's household.